There's a quiet within you, often buried, often ignored, that waits patiently behind your tongue. In a world addicted to noise, you've been trained to speak often and fast. But the Prophet once said, "Whoever believes in Allah and the last day, let him speak good or remain silent." And those words are not a restriction, they are a refuge. Because your tongue, small as it is, carries the weight of mountains. A single sentence can comfort a grieving heart or shatter a lifelong bond. It can be a balm, or it can be a blade. And when it becomes a sword, even truth can cut too deeply. So now, take a breath. Let yourself settle into the stillness of this moment. Feel how silence wraps around you like a soft shawl. There is a wisdom in quiet that words often fail to reach. You've likely heard the saying, "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me." But Islam teaches you something deeper. Words can outlive wounds. They can echo in someone's mind long after your voice has gone quiet. And in the sight of Allah, the tongue is a mirror of the heart. The Prophet once held his blessed tongue between his fingers and said to Mu'adh ibn Jabal, "Hold this back." Mu'adh asked, surprised, "Will we be held accountable for what we say?" The Prophet replied, "May your mother be bereft of you, O Mu'adh. Is there anything that topples people on their faces, or their noses, into the hellfire more than the harvests of their tongues? The harvests of their tongues. Imagine your words as seeds. Every conversation, every comment, every whisper is a planting. Some grow into shade, into sweetness. Some, into thorns. Gossip, backbiting, slander, the Qur'an compares them to eating the flesh of your brother. Would one of you like to eat the flesh of his dead brother? You would detest it. That's not just poetic horror, it's divine caution. Because the mouth can be hungry for what harms the soul. Even idle talk, when left unchecked, becomes a weight on the scales of judgment. The Prophet warned of lagwe, useless speech, as something the believer avoids. Not because talking is haram, but because stillness is sometimes stronger than sound. And especially when you are angry. Anger comes quickly, like a storm over still waters. It rises in the chest, flashes behind the eyes. And the tongue is the first to draw its sword. But you've been taught, the strong is not the one who overcomes others by strength, but the one who controls himself while angry. In those moments, silence is not weakness. It is power in stillness. It is a shield made of patience. It is you, choosing peace over pride. So the next time you feel your voice rising, try pausing instead. Just pause. Breathe through the silence. Let your heart cool before your tongue moves. Because every word not said is a door not closed too early. It is a fire not lit. It is a regret not written. And when you do speak, speak like the Prophet. He never wasted words. He never mocked. He never gossiped or exaggerated. His speech was measured, gentle, intentional. Like pearls falling one by one. The companions would say, when the Prophet spoke, it was as though light flowed from his mouth. So imagine, what would your words look like if they carried light? Speak to heal. Speak to remind. Speak to worship. But don't let the tongue wander where the heart doesn't follow. For Allah knows the secrets of speech and the silence between. Silence, in fact, was part of the Prophet's sunnah. He practiced long moments of thoughtful quiet. Not the silence of boredom or disinterest, but the silence of presence. He listened deeply. To the poor. To the companions. To the Qur'an. And in that listening, he taught us something vital. That silence can be an act of mercy. It can be mercy to others when you withhold sarcasm or avoid exposing someone's faults. It can be mercy to yourself when you don't let anger drag you into sin. And most of all, it can be mercy in your record when your book of deeds remains clean where it could have been stained. Think of the things you've never said. The insults you held back. The gossip you refused to pass on. The argument you walked away from. Those silences are not empty. They are full. Full of intention. Full of reward. Because in Islam, silence can be worship. Let that sink in. Silence can be worship. Especially in our times, where voices are loud and constant. Where everyone has a platform, an opinion, a need to reply. Choosing silence is not just countercultural, it's counter-ego. And what greater form of jihad is there than silencing the ego? So tonight, as your body sinks deeper into rest, let your tongue rest with it. Let your thoughts slow down. Let the echo of speech fade into something more spacious. There is peace in this stillness. There is power in this pause. And perhaps, in choosing to say nothing, you've said everything your soul needed. But one question lingers, gently, in the quiet. If even your silence is recorded, what of the silence of the angels? And so, we drift into the next hush. Into the realm of the unseen. Where even the angels sometimes pause. Just for you. Close your eyes. Now imagine two gentle beings seated near you. Not seen, not heard, but always present. One rests by your right, the other by your left. Their task is sacred. They do not sleep. They do not speak. They only write. Kerman Ktibn, the noble scribes. Sent by Allah, they record every utterance, every whisper, every sound that leaves your lips. When the two receivers receive, seated on the right and on the left. Man does not utter a word except that with him is an observer prepared to record. Qur'an 50:17 or 18. And so, your life becomes a scroll. Every breath you exhale with purpose, every syllable you form with care. Each becomes ink on a page that you will one day read aloud, in a court where no lie will pass. But here is a mystery. A subtle, sacred silence. Because there are moments, rare and blessed, when the pen doesn't move. There is a pause. Yes, even angels wait. They pause when you fall into sin. Because Allah, in His mercy, has told them, hold your pen. Give my servant a chance. Let them return. Let them regret. Let them remember me. The Prophet said, the scribe on the left is to delay writing the sin of a Muslim for 6 hours. If he repents, seeks forgiveness, and turns back to Allah, it is not recorded. If not, it is written as one sin. Mujam al-Kabir. 6 hours. 6 hours of suspended ink. 6 hours where your shame is not yet judgment. 6 hours where your silence becomes salvation. What kind of Lord gives you that much space to turn back? A Lord who knows the weight of words. A Lord who knows how quickly anger speaks. And how slowly regret follows. So tonight, let that knowledge soothe you. Because you are never alone, but you are never trapped. You're always accompanied, but always free. Your tongue holds power, and your pauses hold mercy. Let's slow this down even more. Right now, as you lie here. You are breathing, softly, steadily. Your heart beats. Your chest rises and falls. And beside you, these two angels remain. They are not heavy. They are not distant. They are not waiting for you to fail. They are servants of Allah, witnessing your life unfold. The one on the right, he is quick. Eager to record even your smallest goodness. A smile. A kind word. A whispered Subhanallah as you lie in bed, staring at the ceiling in thought. He captures your remembrance. Your apologies. Even the pain you keep silent, for Allah's sake. And never share with anyone but Him. The one on the left, he is patient. He waits. He hopes you'll take back the insult before it spills. He listens for your repentance after the mistake. And if you turn back, if you say Astaghfirullah, with sincerity, even in a whisper, he closes his book and smiles. So tell me now, what would your book say tonight? Would it hold arguments never resolved? Sarcasm that pierced a heart? Jokes made at someone's expense? Or would it carry long stretches of quiet, where you bit your tongue, walked away from fitna, chose not to reply? Every moment of silence in the face of sin is a page left blank. And that, dear soul, is a blessing. There's something else. Sometimes, you speak only to yourself. No one hears. No one knows. You curse under your breath. You mock someone in your heart. You argue silently, words never voiced, but vivid in your mind. Do they count? The prophet said, "Indeed, Allah has forgiven my nation for the whispers in their hearts, so long as they do not speak them or act upon them." Bukhari and Muslim. Your thoughts, your feelings, they are not yet deeds. It is only when the words leave your lips that the pen is lifted. So you see, even your silence, the choice not to say what tempts you, is a refuge granted to you. In that restraint, the angels do not write. In that moment, the pen stays still. But the one who writes good? He never pauses. Not even a blink. The Prophet told us, when a servant intends to do a good deed and does not do it, it is written as a full good deed. And if he does it, it is written as 10 good deeds, or more. Bukhari and Muslim. So imagine this. You lie in bed, thinking about helping someone tomorrow. You plan to recite Qur'an in the morning. You hope to fast Monday. Even if sleep takes you before you act. That thought, that hope, is a written reward. And if you do it, it multiplies beyond your knowing. Such is the gentleness of your Lord. Such is the attentiveness of your angels. They do not grow bored. They do not complain. They do not forget. They are the quiet companions of your soul, capturing the sound of your choices, while leaving space for your silence. So what will you do with your next moment of speech? What will you plant in the soil of your book? Perhaps you'll whisper La ilaha illallah right now. Or maybe you'll stay silent, letting the words bloom inwardly. Both are beautiful. Both are known. And as you drift deeper into sleep, know that your angels remain. Listening. Recording. Pausing, sometimes. Out of hope for your return. But the next chapter awaits. A silence of another kind. Not the silence of choice, but of grief. Where words fail and hearts carry what tongues cannot. So come. Let's walk to that silence together. Where Yaʿqub cries, but speaks only with his eyes. There is a kind of silence that does not come from peace, but from pain. It doesn't ask permission. It simply arrives, like a shadow across your soul, and takes your words with it. You felt it, haven't you? That stillness after a loss. When your mouth can't move. When the ache is too wide for language. You are not alone in that silence. The Qur'an tells you a story. A father, an old man, a prophet, whose grief filled a house, but never broke into bitterness. His name is Yaʿqub. His beloved son, Yusuf, was taken from him. A lie told, a shirt stained, a child gone. And when the news came, when the world tilted in sorrow, Yaʿqub didn't shout. He didn't curse the moment. He didn't ask, why me? He simply said, so patience is beautiful. Qur'an 12:18. Abr Jamil. Not silent despair. Not suppressed fury. But beautiful patience. A silence that blooms from faith. He wept. Yes. The Qur'an tells you his eyes turned white from crying. But even his tears were dignified. He did not wail at the world. He whispered to his Lord. This is the sacred silence of grief in Islam. Not a denial of emotion, but a sanctification of it. You are allowed to ache. You are allowed to feel hollow. To cry in the dark. To lose your appetite. To hold someone's name in your chest like a wound. But you are taught, gently, not to let your sorrow drown your trust in Allah. Yaʿqub lived years without Yusuf. Years of silence. with memories echoing in every corner of his home. And still, he said, "Indeed, I only complain of my sorrow and grief to Allah." Qur'an 12 hours 86 minutes. He didn't unload it on the people. He didn't write it into bitterness. He took his grief straight to the one who understands silence best. You see, sometimes, words are too small for what you feel. And that's okay. Islam never demands you to suppress your emotions. The Prophet himself cried when his son Ibrahim passed away. He held the small, still body and said, "The eye shed tears. The heart feels pain. But we only say that which pleases our Lord." What a balance. Tears in the eyes. Pain in the chest. Praise on the tongue. Silence, sometimes, is not the absence of feeling, but the refusal to dish the pain with empty words. You might sit in a graveyard, or in your bedroom, or on a hospital floor, with no words. And yet, your silence is heard by the one who hears the hearts. Allah does not need sound to listen. He is As-Sam, the all-hearing. And the Qur'an says, He knows the secret and what is even more hidden. Qur'an 20:7. More hidden than a secret. That's your sorrow that doesn't know how to speak. That's your heartbreak that hasn't formed a sentence. That's your silence, holy, heavy, and healing. Tonight, if you feel that pain, let yourself feel it. You don't need to dress it up in strong words. You don't need to explain it to anyone. Just sit with it. Breathe with it. And know that even your breath is known. Sometimes, people don't understand your silence. They want answers. They want you to speak. They think your quiet means you've given up. But silence is not always surrender. Sometimes it is survival. Sometimes it is tawakkul, reliance on Allah when the heart is too tired to speak His name aloud. And sometimes it is worship. You are worshipping when you don't lash out. When you hold your tongue from blaming. When you wait, when you trust, when you ache without accusation. That is beautiful patience. And remember, Yaʿqub's silence didn't go unnoticed. Allah honored it. He reunited him with Yusuf. He gave him joy that replaced the sorrow, eyesight that returned, and a story that was recorded forever in the Qur'an. So your silence, this silence, may one day bloom into something more beautiful than you ever imagined. It doesn't mean you'll never speak again. It doesn't mean your grief will always be heavy. It just means, right now, you are in a sacred space. Let your tears be your due. Let your breath be your remembrance. Let your silence be your sabr. There is a hadith that says, "No fatigue, nor disease, nor sorrow, nor sadness, nor hurt, nor distress befalls a Muslim, even if it were the prick he receives from a thorn. But that Allah expiates some of his sins for it." Bukhari and Muslim. So even the silence of grief is not wasted. It is counted. It is seen. It is forgiven. Let your stillness be soft. Let your pain be prayer. And as you drift further into rest tonight, imagine Yaʿqub, old, blind, broken, but still whispering hope. Still believing. Still silent. But certain. He teaches you this. You don't always need to shout your pain. You just need to carry it to the right place. And tomorrow? Tomorrow we speak again. Not with complaints, but with care. Because what happens when silence could have saved a relationship, but didn't? There is a moment, small, silent, and dangerous, right before you speak in haste. A breath you could have taken. A pause you could have honored. A silence you could have chosen. But you didn't. And now, regret sits heavy in your chest. Like a storm that didn't have to come. You've been there before. You said something sharp. You pressed send too fast. You answered when you should have waited. You defended your pride, not your peace. And now the words are out. You can't unring a bell. You can't gather smoke back into your lungs. This is the storm of regret. But what if we slowed down? What if we stepped into that moment before? Because Allah, in His wisdom, has already warned us of words we may one day wish we hadn't said. Not a word does He utter, but there is a watcher by Him, ready to record it. Qur'an 50:18. Nothing escapes. Not the lie. Not the insult. Not even the joke with poison underneath. And yet, He still gives you time. He still gives you choice. The Prophet once stood before his companions and said, "A man speaks a word pleasing to Allah, not thinking much of it. But for it Allah raises him in status. And a man speaks a word displeasing to Allah, not thinking much of it. But for it he will be thrown into the hellfire." Bukhari. So yes, words are small. But they travel far. They land in hearts. They carve memories. They echo in books that will one day be unrolled before your eyes. And the worst ones? The ones said in anger. The Prophet was once asked for advice. He said, "Do not get angry." The man asked again. And again, the Prophet repeated, "Do not get angry." Because anger is the thief of clarity. It tightens your chest. It speeds your tongue. And suddenly, you're saying what you don't mean. Or maybe what you mean, but should have never said. You defend yourself, not realizing your words are attacking others. And after the anger cools, the damage remains. One sentence, and a marriage begins to crack. One sarcastic reply, and a friend starts to drift. One moment of ego, and a parent's heart feels dismissed. And you know the worst part? You can't always fix it. You can apologize, yes. You can explain. You can regret. But some words, even if forgiven, leave behind stains, memories, scars. This is why Islam teaches silence. Not just as etiquette, but as a safeguard. He who believes in Allah and the Last Day must either speak good or remain silent. Bukhari and Muslim. It sounds simple, but it's a fortress. Your silence can protect your relationships. It can guard your dignity. It can hold your heart back from sin. Sometimes, not responding is the highest response. Think of the Prophet. He was mocked, insulted, lied about, even physically attacked. And still, he didn't meet harm with harm. He chose silence often. He forgave. He held his tongue. And even when he corrected someone, he never humiliated them. He never said more than needed. His words were soft, measured, like stones placed carefully along a garden path. So now, imagine your next moment of tension. Someone says something rude, something false, something tempting. You feel your tongue rise like a wave. But you pause. You breathe. You remain silent. That's not weakness. That's strength. That's you stepping out of the storm before it begins. The Prophet said, "Whoever is silent has been saved." To me, saved from sin, from shame, from the weight of avoidable words. And yes, you will still make mistakes. You will still speak too soon sometimes. We all do. But there is another mercy. The Prophet said, "Every son of Adam is a sinner. But the best of sinners are those who repent." To me, So if you have hurt someone with your words, return. Apologize. Seek their forgiveness. Seek Allah's forgiveness. Do not let pride make you loud, when humility would make you whole. And when someone hurts you, you do not have to reply. you do not have to win the argument. You do not have to have the last word. Allah sees. And sometimes, silence is louder than defense. More noble than retaliation. More powerful than proof. Because Allah says. And when they hear ill speech, they turn away from it and say, for us are our deeds, and for you are your deeds. Peace be upon you, we seek not the ignorant. Qur'an 28:55. That's not just poetry. That's protection. So tonight, as you lie in the calm before your dreams, remember the power of that single moment. The moment before the words escape. Hold it. Guard it. Let it pass without speech. Because one sentence not said could be one heartbreak not caused, one sin not written, one storm never formed. And what could be more beautiful than a silence that saved you? Yet not all silence is protective. Sometimes, silence is worship itself. Especially when the Qur'an speaks. There is a silence that doesn't just calm you. It transforms you. It doesn't arrive from absence, but from presence. It isn't empty, it's full. It isn't passive, it's worship. It is the silence of listening to the Qur'an. When Allah speaks, the believer listens. Not just with ears, but with their entire being. So when the Qur'an is recited, then listen to it and pay attention that you may receive mercy. Qur'an 7:204. Listen. Pay attention. Receive mercy. This is not ordinary silence. It is the silence that angels surround. The silence that hearts soften in. The silence that holds meaning deeper than 1,000 conversations. Tonight, let's step into that space. Feel your body soften. Feel your breath slow. Feel the air grow still. As though even creation pauses when Allah's words are near. The Prophet taught us that when the Qur'an is recited in a gathering, tranquility descends. Mercy envelops. And the angels surround them. Imagine that. Right now. As you listen to, reflect on, or recite his book. You are not alone. You are surrounded by mercy. Clothed in quiet. Held by heaven. This is why, when the companions heard Qur'an, they listened as if time had stopped. When Umar ibn al-Khattab heard Surah A with Macron for the first time, his entire soul shook. He had intended harm that day, but walked away reborn. The Qur'an spoke, and his silence became submission. That is the power of listening. Not just hearing, but letting the verses touch your core. Because every verse in the Qur'an is alive. It speaks to different parts of you. Your fear, your hope, your pain, your dreams. But it only speaks clearly. In silence. You can't hear divine beauty through chaos. You can't receive light while distracted. Even the Prophet, who received the revelation, was instructed to be still when Jibril brought it. And in that stillness, the Qur'an came down. Like rain over dry earth. Like moonlight over restless waves. That's what happens when you listen with your whole heart. You become soil ready for guidance. So tonight, in this sacred hush, ask yourself, when was the last time you sat with the Qur'an? Without rushing? Without skipping verses? Without distraction? Just you. The words of Allah. And the gentle surrender of listening. This is why many scholars say, listening to the Qur'an is an act of worship. Even if you don't understand every word. The act of pausing for it. Of honoring it with stillness. Of letting it wash over your soul. Is reward upon reward. And perhaps that's why some of the greatest miracles in Islam began in silence. The cave of Hira was quiet. Before the first revelation came. The Prophet was alone. Reflecting, listening, waiting. And in that stillness, Jibril arrived with the first words. Read, in the name of your Lord who created. Qur'an 96:1. The very first command in Islam wasn't speak. It was read. And to read, you must first quiet the world around you. And within you. You must make space. So let's do that now. Imagine you're sitting with the Qur'an in your lap. Your hands turn the pages slowly. The paper is soft, worn, maybe kissed by tears from years past. You press play, or your own voice begins to recite. Indeed, in the creation of the heavens and the earth, and the alternation of the night and the day, are signs for those of understanding, who remember Allah while standing or sitting or lying on their sides. Qur'an 3:190-191. And as you listen, you realize, this book knows you. It knows your pain, your private dust, your past, your future, because it was revealed for you. Not just for scholars, not just for imams, but for you. The Qur'an says, we have certainly made the Qur'an easy for remembrance, so is there any who will remember? Qur'an 54:17. The only thing you need is willingness and silence. That sacred quiet is your doorway in. There's another kind of listening, too. Listening to the Qur'an when it's correcting you. Sometimes, a verse lands like a mirror. You hear about arrogance, and remember your pride. You hear about mercy, and feel your hardness. You hear about forgiveness, and think of someone you still haven't forgiven. The Qur'an doesn't shout. It whispers into your fitra, your original soul, and reminds you who you are. But again, it only reaches the heart when the noise is gone. So protect that silence. Silence the world. Silence the phone. Silence the ego. And step into the hush of divine words. Because this isn't just sound, it's light. The Prophet said, the Qur'an will come on the day of judgment and say, O Lord, adorn him. So the person will be adorned with a crown of honor. Then it will say, O Lord, give him more. So he will be dressed in a garment of honor. Ahmed, your moments of quiet listening today will crown you in light tomorrow. And what an exchange! A few minutes of silence here, for an eternity of beauty there. So tonight, let the Qur'an speak. Let it move through you. Let it become a lullaby, a lecture, a letter from the one who created you. And know that even if no one else sees this moment, the angels do. Allah does. There is a moment, unimaginable, when every heart pounds in unison, and every voice is stunned into stillness. On the day of judgment, silence descends like a thick veil. Not chosen, not peaceful, but enforced. Because even the bravest tongue cannot speak. Fire, picture the scene. The sun is brought near. Its heat and light no longer blessings, but a weight of truth. People stand in rows. Rows of humanity. Quiet as the grave. Not by choice, but by command. Allah himself will say, so be patient, O Muhammad. Indeed, the promise of Allah is truth. And whether we show you part of that which we promise you, or we take you in death, you will to us be returned. Qur'an 30:60. Each soul, stunned, awaits its book. The book opens. There is no defender now. No excuses. Only deeds. But what will not be in that moment? Words you never spoke. Silence you chose when you could have cursed, insulted, gossiped. What you didn't say. What you didn't do. Those become your shelter. The Prophet described that day. When the people are resurrected, they will find no distance between them and between their deeds. The body parts will speak, telling of what they used to do. Your hands will testify. Did you extend me to help? Your eyes will testify. Did I lower myself in humility? Or did I stare with arrogance? Every limb is a witness. Even in silence. But there is another witness, the tongue that held back. The moments when you paused. Instead of cursed. Instead of judged. Instead of tearing someone down. That tongue remains. A seal of mercy. Imagine, the plate is presented. All your deeds are laid open. And among them lies your best defense. The silence you preserved. Because Allah will honor that restraint. He said, those who avoid the major sins and immoralities, and when they are angry, they forgive. Qur'an 42:37. They remain speechless when it would have hurt. They step back when it would have led to sin. They bite their tongue when it would have broken trust. That silence is not forgotten. It speaks in your favor. And even beyond that day, something more grand awaits. Allah says, whoever comes with a good deed will have 10 times the like thereof. And whoever comes with an evil deed will not be recompensed except the like thereof. And they will not be wronged. Qur'an 6:160. Your silence, your unspoken mercy, multiplied. Can you feel it? Your soul senses it. Because here is the deepest truth. Silence in obedience speaks louder than speech in rebellion. And soon, all of creation will hear it.